Good evening. I would like to call the Flint Board of Education Committee of the whole meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Board member, as I call your name, could you please say present for the record? Treasurer Luna is absent. Trustee King, absent. Trustee Rutherford.
Present.
Vice President Clark is absent. Assistant Secretary Treasurer McIntyre.
Present.
Secretary Perkins.
Present.
Myself, President McNeil. 1, 2, 3, 4 present and 3 absent. The board will not hear comments from the public. We ask that you state the reason for addressing the board and that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes on matters within the authority of the board and not address individual by name. The presiding officer of the board shall have the right to limit the number of persons who may address the board on the same subject. Please state your name and address first before beginning to speak. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak?
Hello,
Proceed.
my name is Linda Booz. I live at 2803 Wilton Place, Flint, Michigan. I'm a longtime resident of the city of Flint, and I am currently running for the Flint Community School Board. I understand the role and responsibility of the school board and also the superintendent. I know how I have good work ethics. I know how to work with any individual as a team, and I was just announcing my candidacy. And I have no other questions or comments.
Well, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to have comments?
Good evening. My name is Mr. Brandon Betts. My address is 3117 Norwood Drive, Flint, Michigan 48503. I am a student success coordinator at Nethercutt Elementary School. Today I brought some data. It's our spring of 2024 M-STEP proficiency percentage for 3rd grade throughout the entire district. If somebody could take a look at this, you will be able to see that Nethercutt, under Mrs. Cook-and-Master's leadership, that we are #1 in the district. I also have a letter from a student, a 4th grade student named Emily Diaz. She made a sunset. It says, Ohana means family. And I wanted to read this because, yes, the letter is specifically to me, but I believe it's a reflection of our relationship with our staff at the building, with each other, as well as with the students. The letter reads as follows. This painting is for all of the kindness that you have shown me and everyone else. Thank you for everything. You are like family to me, to the students, to the staff, and the entire school. Thank you for coming and working in Nethercutt Elementary School. When she showed me this, it kind of brought tears to my eyes because I knew that my work wasn't just being in vain. I was reaching her, and it's one thing hearing it from your peers or your superiors that, hey, you're doing a great job, but when you're hearing it directly from the kids, it's special. I also would like to know if you could direct me into the right direction for finding information based on like the criteria for if you decide to keep schools open, if you decide to close schools, if you decide to renovate schools, like, you know, with Potter, Brownell, those types of things. Like, what would the processes be? I know data is important. I know, I don't know to what extent student population is important, but I know it is because it's not just an academic environment. This is it is somewhat of a business as well, and you have to run things successfully and make the right decisions. So if there's any information that you could share with me, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, my entire approach here is to come and affirm our staff, our building, as well as gain as much knowledge as possible about the entire process that goes on in the district. And I emailed you, Mr. Superintendent, but I know you're super busy and all over the place, and we actually have some mutual family or friends, so Just tried to invite you to our talent show that is October 18th. We also have a fall dance that I'm spearheading, quite a few different events that we would love to have you in attendance for. So thank you for this time. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone here from the public who wish to address any more comments? I needed his name. I now turn the floor over to Trustee Relevant for the human resource portion of the agenda.
I would like to call the Human Resource Committee of the whole meeting to order. I will now call upon Superintendent Jones to present actions to the board. Oh, it is, what time is it? Call it to order, I'm sorry. You call it to order at 6:36 p.m. I apologize.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Ms. Beard is going to get some information from you, okay? All right. I seek a motion and a second from the board to move Resolution 1.10, Personnel Recommendations, to the regular board meeting on October 16th for adoption.
Support.
It's been properly, what did you say? Motion is supported. Are there any discussions? Go ahead.
I wanted everyone to know that one of the recommendations is my daughter,
Which one is your daughter?
Denisha Stinson.
Oh, okay. You recommend her?
She has to acknowledge that.
She have to acknowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
You recommend her?
I'm gonna
You
recommend
can't
every
say
certi-
that.
Oh,
You
I don't
can't.
know.
You just have to
I'm just
acknowledge.
saying.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so given that we've got like a quorum of 4, I know that, or let's defer to the HR department. I know that usually we would recuse ourselves from voting. Does that mean that we can't vote right now? Or, I mean, how does that work in terms of, I know that there's no conflict of interest in terms of like material fact, but like just the perceived conflict of interest. So I just wanted that acknowledged.
Okay. I'd have to defer to Superintendent Jones on that one.
So as long as you acknowledge and make it known that this is, the conflict is, this is your daughter, then you are able to do your elected duty, unless the board feels different about that. And if the board feels different about that, if there's another board member that's going to show a little later, then the vote can be tabled if the board desires until that other board member shows, and then we can vote then. That's completely up to the board, but she has a right to vote.
Yeah. And may I just add that I don't have an objection. I just wanted to be public acknowledged. And so I think that it would be, if we vote to move it forward to the next meeting, if there's, in that interim, in that space, if there's any, if, anyone from the public or anything would like to raise an objection or make some kind of a statement, that there would be like a full week for that to transpire, just so that it's all above board and everything. We do have a teacher shortage, so it's not as if this is a position in which there are, anyone is being turned down for this position in lieu of another candidate, just, so that we just have all of our cards on the table. That's all I wanted to say.
Madam Chair.
Sure. Go ahead.
According to Robert Rules of Order, a member with a direct personal monetary interest in a motion should not vote on it, but they cannot be forced to abstain. However, a member cannot be compelled to abstain from voting simply because it is perceived that they may have a conflict of interest. So she can vote if the board have no objection.
Any further discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead,
Madam Chair.
Superintendent Jones.
I want to, also piggyback to say that all candidates go through the same process. There was no conversation with the superintendent or the HR department from Trustee Perkins as it pertains to hiring this person. So we feel as though that this was above board and there was no backdoor conversations at all.
Any further questions?
Yes.
I would like, anybody, what's that? Go ahead.
Are we still talking about?
We're still talking about.
I would like to know more about this, the ROTC position. Is that a grant?
I would actually have to defer to Ms. Cleaves about that.
Well, I can talk about it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's not a grant. ROTC is a program that we do have in Flint Community Schools. This person is a teacher, and they support our ROTC program with our scholars in the district.
What grade does it start from?
What grade? It's high school.
Okay, that's good.
9th through 12th?
You want to come up? Come on up. We don't pay the full amount for this person.
Right.
Let me say that as
Okay,
well.
right.
We don't pay the full amount.
Right.
It's a part of Navy, of the Navy. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So it's federal dollars from the Navy, and it's 50%. So the district is responsible for 50% of the cost, and then the other 50% is offset by the grant from the Navy.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I need to pay attention, go ahead.
So they have the same teaching load as other teachers? They're teaching the same number of students? Or are we paying almost $70,000 to teach one naval class, or how does that work? Because I know this came up in a previous discussion, and there were some concerns that the course load wasn't equitable to what other teachers had. And as far as I'm concerned, our military spending is excessive, and they're fully capable of funding their own propaganda. So I don't see why this should come out of the school budget. But is this person teaching other courses? So for $70,000 almost, $69,651 plus benefits, what else are they adding to the community besides military indoctrination?
So I can just speak to the salary portion. The salary portion is an agreement that the Navy sends, and they actually determine the salary to pay that position. So they send an agreement saying, we will pay this position, the salary amount, and then the district will be responsible for 50% of the cost. I will have to defer about the class size.
Yeah, I would have to give you more information about class size. I do know that this teacher is teaching classes every hour. So class size, I would have to give you more information about that.
So this person is full-time, they're teaching a full course load,
Yes.
equitable, but I mean, is this just ROTC classes that they're teaching, every course load?
Yes.
And we have full classes, a full high school class. What's our enrollment for high school? How many students?
We're about 400, almost 500.
And so we've got enough enrollment, we've got enough for a teacher to teach full-time military, but we can't offer like AP algebra and, you know, an IB program and anything like that, but we can offer military indoctrination? Is that for real?
Well, I wouldn't see it that way, that we don't have other programs because of this program.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. But what I'm saying is that, you know, we've been fighting for having, you know, we're losing an international baccalaureate program. We've lost advanced placement courses. We don't have dual enrollment with the University of Michigan, and yet, I think in conjunction with other programs that we have, that this is fine as an option, but in terms of a school-to-prison pipeline, like, this is
what I can do,
unfortunate.
what I can do is, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Oh, go ahead, you're fine.
What I can do is make sure
I see
that
you, President.
as this moves, we can have this person come, and also the principal of the school come next week, so you can hear more about it. So we can do that, so that you have a full understanding, and I will also do that homework as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Madam President, did you have your hand up?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I appreciate trustee Norris' comments. However, I kind of support ROTC. It was a lifesaver for me coming up as a single mom and some of the young people in our community. We didn't look at it as a hostile or bad thing, because when you have young African-American men, which I had, father in prison, living in the inner city, it did give my son stability. And it was just more than military that they helped my son through and other parents' sons. It also kind of stabilized us. They had something else in them, and I felt like that was what my son needed at the time, because during the period that ROTC really became very important was when African American man was taken out of the black community through the pipeline to prison system, which left us women raising our boys without no type of training or anything. So many blacks still, African Americans and other culture, but I can speak for my culture, still supports the ROTC because it kind of stabilized what was done to our community, where we didn't have male role models in the 70s. And in my opinion, it wasn't about just military. It was also about discipline, the behavior change. It became more responsible. He felt like a man again. He felt like he could be what I want him to be, but I couldn't give him as a mom. So I have no problem with that. We're doing 38 to 39%. And as we get into academic, we sit on the academic committee. We should really start to talking about other skilled trade programs for our community as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Trustee King.
Yeah. So, all right, make sure. I think the discussion was around, I was watching NJROTC, right? All right. I do want to note that I was fortunate enough, I think it was last school year, when I was doing a school visit at Southwestern, seeing this program in full effect, seeing our scholars. There was the instructor had the scholars doing the run around the gym, and also the color guard, all the good stuff. They were doing good things inside of that program, and seeing the classroom full. There was a lot of kids in that classroom when I had seen them. And also I want to point out that the scholar that went to the HBCU tour, I forget her name, but she was a part of that same program. So it benefited our scholars real good. So I don't see a problem with supporting it.
Anyone else? I'd like to comment on it. Will this be elective? Or is this considered an elective?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we'll only be paying 35, correct? 35,000?
Yes, the 50%.
Okay, will this be ongoing, or is this just for this year? Is this a pilot program, or?
We've had it.
You've had it before?
We've had it as long as I've been here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you just changing the teacher, the instructor?
Well, actually, we have one instructor now, so then this would have been a vacancy.
So I didn't understand you.
So it used to be 2 positions,
Okay.
and so now we already have 1 filled, so then this is a vacancy for the additional.
Oh, okay, this is addition to it. Okay. All right. I want to go back to Ms. Stinson. She's from Houston, correct? What's your, Fort Texas? Okay, I get all that run together for me. But she has been a school teacher for,
17 years.
Point of order.
okay.
Superintendent, are we allowed to talk about HR
It should have been in here.
by name with personal details in an in a meeting? I
It's a
just wasn't-
public position.
It-
It's fine. It's a public position.
I'm asking,
Well, as a chair, I'm gonna help you out so we keep it moving. It's fine. It's a public permission. No, it's not in here. That's why I asked. I'm familiar with her, and I'm just asking. I don't have a problem with this, but I'm just familiar with her. I think it's a good choice. Now, do you have anything you would like to add, or are you all set?
my question was a point of order.
Oh, I didn't hear you say that word. Okay, moving on.
Point of order. It was
No, any further discussion? All right, let's do a roll call vote. When you hear your name, please say yes or no, as it relates to the approval of moving it forward to the next regular board meeting. Treasurer Luna is absent. Myself, Trustee Rutherford, says yes. Vice President Clack is absent. President McNeil,
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
Secretary Perkins,
Yes.
and Trustee King.
Yes.
Vote passes 5 and 2 absent. All right, thank you. Seeing no further discussion, I declare the Human Resource Committee of the whole meeting adjourned. Wait a minute, that's it, right?
In your packet on page 5 is the information item 2.4, retirement resignations. Do you have any questions, board members, before we close out?
Sorry, y'all.
No problem.
In your packet, you already said that?
Yeah. It seems like there's no questions,
I had to
so.
get catch up. All right, seeing no further business, I declare the Human Resource Committee of the whole meeting adjourned at 6:52. I turn the floor over to, who's doing finance? I turn it back over to McIntyre, Trustee McIntyre.
I would like to call the Finance and Operation Committees of the whole meeting to order. I will now call upon Superintendent Jones to present action to the board.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee McIntyre. So we're going to hold on 11.13. There is some conversations that need to take place before I ask you to vote, and I want to give you more information. So I would like to table 11.13 until next week, board members.
Okay, we don't need to take a vote on that?
I
or-
don't think we need to vote.
We do need to.
Do we?
So I seek a motion to table 11.13, approval of trade contractors for cube bid.
Support.
To the next meeting, are you finishing?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
To
we
the next,
moving it
I
to the
just need,
next
I
meeting.
just need to table it. I don't want to put the next
Can't
meeting
move
on
it
that.
if he's
Let's just
tabling it.
table it if we can.
That's what she said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Clarity here, I need clarity. We're tabling it, so do we need a motion to table? Well, we
I
do need
said,
a
I seek a
motion.
motion to table
Okay.
11.3, and she said
Oh,
yes.
Support, and I
Sorry.
supported it.
Okay.
Yes.
So comments next. Or we do we take a
Are
vote?
there any comments? Seeing note that there's no discussion, the motion to table 11.13, approval of trade contractors for Cube Bid Pack 14 Sitework North Flint Campus has been tabled. All in favor, vote yes in favor, no for not. Trustee Rutherford?
We table it to next week
We are tabling it
Until he gets some
until he
information.
can get
to
further
further
information.
notice? Okay, all right, yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Vice President Clack is absent. President McNeil?
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre, myself, yes. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
And Treasurer Luna is absent, so it passes by a vote of 5 to 2 absent.
Thank you. I seek a motion and a second from the board to move Resolution 111, .14, approval of air filters for district mechanical equipment to the regular board meeting on October 16, 2024 for adoption.
Chair,
Yes, Trustee King?
I make a motion to approve 11.14.
Support.
It has been moved, it has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I do have a question. In terms of the air filters, can you please refresh my memory about which air filters they are? Because I remember at one point, Dr. Sullivan proposed a program in which the students would be creating and monitoring their own air filters. I have to admit, I have not been up on the air filter situation, so can you please explain a little bit?
Yes, this is to change all the air filters in the HVAC equipment. And last year, this was done for $33,000, and so there's been a slight increase in price. And that's also due to the VUVs that we've added at Potter, Holmes, and Brownell. So this is within all the equipment.
Okay, is there any other questions? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, the motion to move Resolution 11.14, approval of air filters for district mechanical equipment to the regular meeting for adoption, will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no.
Point of information. Ms. Beard, could you repeat back the? Yes.
Motion made by Trustee King was to approve the air filters for district mechanical equipment. Second by Trustee Perkins.
Okay, so it's to approve it
For tonight.
for tonight. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve this motion. Trustee Relaford,
Yes.
Trustee King,
Yes.
Vice President Clack is absent, President McNeil,
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre, yes, Secretary Perkins.
Yes.
And Treasurer Luna, no, no is absent, so it passes by a vote of 5 yes to 2 no. Seeing no further business, I declare the Finance and Operations Committee of the Whole meeting adjourned. I turn the floor
Thank you.
over. Oh, sorry.
No, I just said thank you to those, to my teammates.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
was just saying thank you to them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So now I will retain the floor, but will be assuming the mantle of Academics Committee of the Whole portion of the agenda under Assistant Secretary Treasurer. Time of adjournment is 6:58. I would now like to call the Academics Committee of the Whole meeting to order. I will now call upon Superintendent Jones to present action to the board.
I seek a motion and a second from the board to move Resolution 25.9, approval of course catalog 2024-2025 to the regular board meeting on October 16, 2024 for adoption.
So, does anyone,
I make a motion that we move 25.9 approval course catalog 2024-25 to the next meeting.
Support.
has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yep. So I just want to make sure that the board understands that these are classes we either have or had that we want to possibly have. Some classes we don't have teachers for currently, but we want to make sure that if and when we get the teachers, we can add those electives or courses to the programming of our school. So I just want to make sure that the board understands that. Not every class in here is going on, but the classes that we do currently have is going on at this time.
I did have a question in terms of, it's sort of related. What is the status of the dual enrollment? How is that progressing?
So I know Ms. Fields have been working on that. She met with me about that a couple of weeks ago in her one-on-one. I would need to defer that and have her speak to you about that next week.
Okay.
She will be here next week.
I would just like to publicly note that, that I believe that the University of Michigan has an obligation as a public university to be good partners with the Flint Community Schools, and I'm very disheartened so far with what has transpired with our relationship between the University of Michigan and the Flint Community Schools. It seems like the University of Michigan Flint has been enthusiastic about partnering with every district except ours, including Powers, which is in Flint, but is not part of the Flint Community Schools. And so I would like to publicly call out the University of Michigan for a dereliction of duty in terms of supporting our K through 12 scholars and for actively trying to play a proactive role in defeating the school-to-prison pipeline. I believe that one of the sticking points right now with moving forward a partnership between the University of Michigan and our K through and our programs at Flint schools is not a reluctance on our part, but a hesitancy of the University of Michigan to be good partners. They're looking to take a percentage of our enrollment dollars, and given that the position that the federal government and the state has put us in terms of a budget deficit, that I understand the University of Michigan is going through its own, but they have a duty and an obligation, I believe a moral and an ethical obligation to our scholars specifically, being a public university in Flint with the Flint schools. I mean, you get my drift, right? I know I'm repeating myself, but I shouldn't have to be even making this statement. And I feel that U of M, while they're, yeah, it would be nice if we could share our tuition dollars with the University of Michigan to make this happen. It would be really nice if they could maybe extend their resources to really help us out in this dire time of need with our own enrollment, so that they can have a future pool of scholars that are homegrown, that are actually fulfilling the mission that public schools and a public university should have towards its community. So, like I said, I'm making a public statement because I'm ashamed to be faculty at University of Michigan and also on the school board, and the fact that there just seems to be this benign neglect or whatever it is that you want to call it. It's like there's just a lack of will because nothing is happening. And it's worse than nothing happening. It's like we're getting less and less instead of even maintaining or getting more. So shame on you, University of Michigan. Yes.
In regards to the Navy JROTC, I see that they have to have their uniforms and haircut. A part of our portion of the dollars, would that is make sure that that happens?
I'm not sure. I will make sure. Yep, I will make sure
Okay.
that next week when they're here, they can discuss.
Okay, because
You know, yeah.
it's nothing like having a child that wants to participate, but the family doesn't have the means, because a haircut is expensive, and keeping the uniforms,
Your question though is, I'm sorry, Madam
will the
Chair.
portion, portion of the salary that the district pay, would that include making sure that the students have access to meeting the cadets, meeting the requirements that I'm reading here?
So I do know the answer to that.
Yes.
The salary that we're paying the teacher does not go towards haircuts or
Okay.
uniforms.
All right, so is there money available to go towards the students being able to participate in this in the event their family's not able to?
That's what I would need them here to be able to
Okay.
answer. So I'll make sure next week we have those
My
questions
wording was
answered.
wrong. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, no further questions.
All right. Okay, so the motion to resume, to move Resolution 25.9, approval of course catalog 2024-25 to the regular meeting for adoption will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve this motion. Secretary Perkins.
Yes.
President McNeil.
Yes.
Vice President Clack is absent. Trustee Relaford.
Yes.
Treasurer Luna is absent. Trustee King.
Yes.
And myself, Trustee McIntyre, yes. Motion passes by a vote of 5 yes to 2 absent. Thank you, Superintendent Jones.
You're welcome.
Seeing no further business, I declare the Academics Committee of the Whole meeting adjourned at 7:06. I now turn the floor back over to President McNeil.
We will now have remarks from individual board members. Do any board member have any comments before we make announcement or
Madam
adjourn?
Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to just talk about the teachers that are retiring and happen to see where 11 of our teachers are now in another district. And one of the teachers that are now in another district, they made a statement and they said, the question was, can this be addressed? And now that I look at these 3 teachers, this is like 94 years of experience. They've retired. And then you look at another one with 32 years. We're hemorrhaging with teachers, and it is my desire that we're able to stop the hemorrhaging of losing teachers and retain our high-level teachers that have been in the district for 30-plus years, and then the 11 that are at the other district, all of them have 25 years. And that's something we really, as a board, we really need to look at that and see what's going on, because we got to help this district. That's major. But on the other hand, I would like to say that it did me good to see the vice president here and see some of the board members there, and also to see Reverend Jesse Jackson here in the district. I thought that was very appropriate for what's going on, and just wanted to just acknowledge that publicly. And yeah, no further remarks on my behalf.
Any more comments from the board?
I was just going to acknowledge the superintendent was outstanding when Reverend Jackson came, and he really has the decorum in presenting. And we were with Jesse Jackson and his son the entire day, pretty much. Reverend Jackson has Parkinson's disease, and he was not able to speak, but his son spoke eloquently. And he spoke about the GOTV, that's Get Out the Vote. That's what the acronym stands for. And he drove it home for the students about voting, the sacrifices that have been made in order for them to do that. A lot of them didn't even know who he was, and that's sad to me. We got to get some history back into the schools. That's where I'm at. They need to know their history. Now, I understand they want to take the history out of the schools, but I think they ought to go back in, deep. There is more than Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King that made the contributions. That's all I got.
Trustee.
Yeah, I too would like to thank the Rainbow Coalition in the Flint Black Lives Matter with DeJuan Robinson, and the Reverend Jackson for making a special request to come to Flint, and I believe his son really expressed it well, that this election is very important, and it can come down to an individual single voter, and he made the case for, you know, each single student at Southwestern, you know, making a difference, not just in Flint, not just in Michigan, but in the nation. It was very powerful, and I commend Superintendent Jones for pledging and making the commitment with Dr. Jackson that we will get each and every one of our scholars registered to vote or pre-registered to vote, whether they're going to Southwestern or not. You know, that we are committed to that as a community. I'd also like to acknowledge Nethercutt for another outstanding year. They have consistently been a top performing school, which has been my reluctance to, you know, downsize them on the backs of our highest performing, most well-attended schools. So I'm really encouraged to look at, you know, repurposing their programs there for our scholars, and you know, to give an acknowledgement to the commitment of the principal and all the hard work that's done there. Perhaps looking at bringing the Montessori program to the Nethercutt building, or, you know, any other innovative way that we can, you know, make use of that interest and that enthusiasm that's over in that neighborhood. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to say
Yes,
before I
ma'am.
speak? Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. You say best for last,
Okay,
right?
I got
Okay,
that.
all right. So I just want to acknowledge the work of Southwestern Academy, making sure that our scholars had the opportunity Friday to have the Secretary of State on location as students were registering,
Okay.
and also getting their IDs. Students had the opportunity to do that for 4 hours in the day. They brought an entire booth, and even staff was able to renew license or get IDs. So that was a great thing to see in Flint Community Schools off the back of the Rainbow Coalition being here. That happened days later. So we moved right into making sure scholars had that opportunity. So kudos to Southwestern for that. And just want to acknowledge all of the work of our staff, the work you're doing for our scholars. I would like to also acknowledge to this board that the 2 out of the 4 schools that you have renovated are increasing in enrollment. Both principals I talked to today, actually, and stating, Mr. Jones, it's looking like that we're going to have to open up classrooms. So that is a good problem to have. And so just knowing that makes us look into the future and say the renovations is going to pay off for this district, and it's already doing so. So kudos to our principals, Dr. Coleman, for your leadership, and also Dr. Gretchen Schaefer for your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to just give you an update from the Rainbow Push Coalition. They contacted me again. When they first contacted me, I didn't know which way to begin because it was such a last-minute notice. But I got in contact with Superintendent Jones. He got in contact with them and made it happen. It was such a success that Justice Jackson Jr. contacted me again and said they would like to come back to Flint, working with the board and the superintendent, and do this process again. They really got an in-depth knowledge of what we were going through as the on the board, as it come to renovating and sports and all of that. So Jesse Jackson Jr. and his father wants to come back to Flint, working with the board. And I'd like to see all our board in this project as they come back and get these voters on board and register vote. They have this campaign that if the senior 18-year-old would vote, this election can be won with over 10,000 votes. And that's why they're on the campaign. They said that our Southwestern students was brilliant. They was respectful, and they enjoyed working with them. On another note, there's a company a church out in Fenton has over 15,000 to 20,000 toys and stuff for this to give to the city of Flint or to our students. I've been contacted. They're going to have a meeting. Mr. Jones, I would like for you to be there when they do contact. That could we, because we do have the space, they can bring pallets of toys and stuff to this district for our community. And I told them that I would get in contact with you, and hopefully we can make that happen. I think they got a meeting coming up October the 10th. They was at the library seeking for help. Another thing that we're going to be talking about, any board member that wants to get their certification in zoning and planning, MSU has the training. I think I had my certification, but I need to get a new one. It's going to help us a lot as we begin to talk about repurposing and vacant property, and we need to understand what those zonings are and going in the direction that the city is going, so we don't end up with a backlog like we have before, just jumping out there, giving away property, then come back. I would like to see us more trained in zoning and planning. We are putting together a retreat for all our board members, and all board members are welcome to sign up for this zoning and planning. You can contact Pam for that, and the retreat as well. We need all hands on deck as we begin to do this retreat. We did a great job with having a greet and meet with GISD and Beecher, and I believe this retreat will help us get to know each other better so we can respect each other better, and as we move this district forward. So those are the three most important things that I had to say, and I would love when Rainbow Coalition come back, because my schedule is real tight, that anybody just want to help with that, I give your name and stuff, and they can reach out to you guys. Thank you. Any more comments? Seeing no one. The Board of Education will hold its regular board meeting at ALA Wednesday, October 16th at 6:30. Seeing no further business, I declare the board meeting. I declare the board committee of the whole meeting adjourned at 7:18.